Thank you very much for a very broad overview of a lot of issues. We have a little bit of time, a couple minutes for questions, and Artie Rai has her hand up first, and then Steve Kuhn. We only have a couple minutes on the schedule, so let's try and make the questions and responses brief.
I'll try to be brief. So we are going to have a panel this afternoon on IP considerations with one of your Harvard colleagues, Ben Rowan. So this is just a question that I hope we'll get more purchase on later. I'm trying to figure out, so obviously there are a lot of commercial interests involved. There's no doubt about that. And believe me, I've heard so many people have reached out to me just because I'm on this panel. So I'm trying to figure out what the real concerns are and what are kind of more make-weight concerns. And so it seems to me that the data exclusivity concerns are quite real, and that's it seems to me quite legitimate. The patent concerns strike me as perhaps less concerning because, as my understanding of it is that the product patent you apply for basically when you initiate the clinical trial. So that product patent is not an issue. So one could imagine use patents perhaps, but if the data is released after the the product has been approved, presumably most use patents have been applied for at that point anyway. I mean, I could imagine some secondary use patents that wouldn't have been applied for, but I'm just trying to get your sense of whether the patent issues are real or just a make-weight.
You know, I have to say, I really don't know, and I have tried to probe myself with industry, you know, exactly, like, I've tried to get them to be as specific as possible about the concerns, you know, because I think there are concerns, but I also have tried to sort out, like, what's the wheat and the chaff here, you know, what's the real stuff. I mean, in terms of the patent stuff, I think you're right, the data exclusivity stuff is real. I think that is tangible and it's real. On the patent stuff, I think I've thought the same thing that you've thought in terms of how you articulated it. One thing, though, that I have been told is that, you know, there is this issue of applying for patents in multiple jurisdictions. And so when these data are publicly available, you can no longer choose to, like, wait to apply in another jurisdiction. That's what I've been told, you know, so.
Right, although, sorry, we can follow up later, but you know, you do a PCT application and you have to apply within 18 to 30 months anyway. So I don't know that, I think that strikes me more of as a make weight. So anyway.
Okay. So this is something we can come back to. Steve? Goodman?
Yeah. So this is a great presentation. Very bewildering. It seems like there's roadblocks at every turn. In fact, roadblocks where we didn't even know there were roads. So the I mean, the conflict between TRIPS and this, I mean, I have to say that was not on my radar. So the question is, you know, many of these restrictions, laws, rules, regulations have been built to protect certain, you know, variety of interests, commercial, privacy, all laudable with some ultimate social purpose. But there's also a broader social good for which sometimes there aren't laws written, and each one of these is protecting a certain party or entity. And the question is, where is there room to maneuver here to issue guidelines or create structures that adhere to this, that feed broader social goals, and that can put them on a sort of equal floor or standing with all the private interests, and private includes the individual patient. I mean, because it seems like if you literally took all these regulations together, you can't even navigate within the EMA. I mean, there are internal contradictions as well as conflicts between various entities and countries. So, where's the room to maneuver here?
I would not take away a deep pessimism from this presentation. In fact, I really would.
You want to start again?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't, because I think one of the things, what I hope you walk away from this with the idea of, is that all of this is in ferment right now. And so I would not accept the world, if I were you, if I were in your shoes as this IOM committee, I would not accept the world as it is. Because I think that all of this stuff can be changed if there is some compelling reason to change it. So I think, for example, the EMA, you know, if you look at this collision between the data protection regulation that's pending the clinical trials directive, which I didn't even get into, but which has many of these features as well, which is pending and about to be adopted, and then the EMA proposal about data sharing. The EMA doesn't know, I mean, it's all in conflict, but they don't know what to do. And so if there were a way forward that a value appropriate, reasoned way forward that would vindicate the public interest and balance the public and private interests, including the private interests of the research participants and the commercial interests, et cetera, the academic interests, then I think that actually, you know, the HHS and EMA and India, which is in the course of this incredible clinical trial regulatory ferment right now, for better or worse, mostly for worse than for better these days, I think they would actually take the signal, you know. And so if I were you, I would think of this as an incredible opportunity. I would not think of this as being something that is forbidding. Really, I wouldn't.